This New York Yankee team has been absolutely unbelievable. They're the only team that has 50 wins right now in all of baseball. By 7 games. They're 52-18. The closest record to the Yankees are the Mets, who are 45-26. The Yankees have been absolutely dominant the last 25 games. The last 10 games, they're 8-2. Their rotation has an ERA under 3. Their bullpen has an ERA a little bit under 3. You look at this team, and Aaron Judge, who has been absolutely spectacular. Absolutely. And the game winners, since the season began, they have 9 walk-off wins. Rizzo has been unbelievable. Giancarlo Stanton, since he's come back from his injury, has been unbelievable. And their leader, Aaron Judge, who is looking for a big-time contract in the offseason, where we said there's no way in hell the Yankees are going to give him more than the $216 million that they offered him. Right now, leads the league in home runs, second in RBIs, second in OPS, and he's batting over 300. How many big power hitters in the outfield are hitting over 300? Not many. He hasn't struck out as much as he has over the last couple of years in the first half. He has been unbelievable. He is the MVP of the league. When everybody's trying to compare Paul Goldschmidt or Pete Alonso trying to win the National League, there's nobody even close right now in the American League to Aaron Judge. Not even close. This man right now is on his way to hit over 61 home runs, which he'd be the first player not doing steroids to break Roger Maris's home run record in a season, which is 61.
Yeah, and if you even judge the MVPs from the American League even to the National League, the American League probably has the top 3 overall in comparison because Goldschmidt has a great average year, 340, 17 home runs, 61 RBIs, but 17 is not the power number the Judge has, or even somebody like Yordan Alvarez or Jose Ramirez that are in the American League runnings right now. Even Rafael Devers, even though the Red Sox have been struggling, have been in the mix, but Aaron Judge is the best by far in the American League, which says a lot in comparison to the National League guys. It's just insane the numbers he's put together. 1.037 OPS this year, 304 batting average, 379 on base percentage, 27 home runs, just insane. And yeah, even the strikeout numbers, yeah, he's probably on pace for about 150, but we've seen him get 200 in the past too. So even that's down for the numbers you want to see him have. He's playing a lot of center field this year.
He's hitting 300.
There's no flaw in his game right now.
It's unbelievable. And we didn't think that he was going to get that money. And
No.
I think the Yankees are going to pay this. They're going to pay the contract that he wants. I don't know what he's going to get.
Yeah.
Maybe he's looking for $250 million. I don't know if he's going to get $300 because of his age, but
Right.
he's going to get a lot of money. And he's going to probably be the highest paid yearly player in all of baseball by the end of this season. And if it's not the Yankees, I would say other teams will be lining up offering him that kind of money.
I think other team will definitely give him $300 million just because of the big name. But here's the thing you have to judge now, because the Yankees do have the best record in baseball by far. How much has that changed Aaron Judge's mind to maybe say, all right, I'll take $15 million less to stay with the Yankees at that point? The Yankees will have to give him more than their initial offer of the 7-year, $213 million deal, for sure. But the Yankees still might be able to get something in their price range at this point. Now, the news came out yesterday that they were able to settle for an arbitration for this year of $19 million. Okay, but that's not what he's going to want. He's still going to want that 7-year contract.
He's going to want $43 to $44 million a year, and that's probably what he's going to get as an everyday player. Now, the only problem right now is injury, and he has not been injured for the last 2 years. He played almost a full season last year, and this year he's on his way to play 160 games this year. He has been as good and as healthy as you want your best player to be, and he is their leader. He's been the face of the team and one of the faces of baseball. There is no flaws on this team right now. Trevino, they brought this guy, and he might be the starting catcher in the American League in the All-Star game. He's been unbelievable. Right now, the Yankees probably have about 5 All-Stars on this team, and that's not counting their rotation in their bullpen. They might have 2 guys from their bullpen and 2 guys from their rotation that could make the All-Star team. It's an unbelievable story right now. And by the way, again, I'm going to say it, all the people trying to run Aaron Boone and Brian Cashman out, everybody, every Yankee fan should reach out to Brian Cashman and the Yankees organization and apologize, because Brian Cashman has been nothing but a genius since he's taken over this job. It is a joke what any Yankee fan has put this guy down and said that he doesn't know what he's doing. He didn't make a move for Max Scherzer. He didn't have to. Right now, their rotation is on a record-breaking pace with whip, ERA, strikeouts. They have 3 guys that have almost 70 strikeouts apiece. So I don't know why anybody thought that this team wasn't going to compete amongst the league's best. Everybody thought they were a top 5 team before the season started. Nobody thought the rotation was going to be as good as they are, but nobody thought that Nestor Cortez was going to have another season as he had in the second half last year. And I always believed Tejon was going to be a good player. This guy was a top 3 pick in the draft from Pittsburgh. He just didn't really develop. And ever since he's come over there with the Yankees and he's played with his best friend in Cole, I think it's just revived him. And he has been, to me, the best pitcher for the New York Yankees, Speedy.
I always like Tejon, too. The one I'm surprised at has played as well as he has is Severino. I thought with the injuries that he had and losing velocity, I thought that would hurt him a lot. And Montgomery, too, with all the injuries he's had. Those are the two I've been most surprised at. I always liked Tejon. I always liked his stuff. Cortez, we definitely saw what he did at points during last season where he looked like he was the best pitcher on the Yankees. And Garrett Cole's Garrett Cole, 3.14 ERA right now, but that should go down probably in the mid-2s by the second half of the season for sure with the stuff that he brings, and 103 strikeouts this year, which is very impressive.
Well, we all know by the end of the season, he will be up for a Cy Young. Anybody that thought that Garrett Cole wasn't going to have a good season is a joke. Now, has he had bad games? Yeah, and a lot of pitchers do. And then he has games he wouldn't give up an earned run in 3 of them. And then he'd have a bad game where he'll give up 5. Right now, Jameson Taillon is 8-1 with a 3.19 ERA. He's got 63 strikeouts. His whip is 1.114. He's been unbelievable. Everybody keeps thinking Nestor Cortez, but even though wins don't mean anything, every time Taillon has been on the mound, he's been on the mound 14 times. He's won 8 and only lost 1. That's remarkable. The Yankees are going to have to decide. He's only done this for a year and a half, so I don't think a team is going to overpay him. But the Yankees are going to have to give him a significant contract. I'm paying Aaron Judge, and Luis Severino's a free agent after this year.
Cortez's first arbitration is next year. The Yankees have 3 years to make it work.
They could lose Severino in the offseason. Right. So it's going to be very interesting as the Yankees move forward this year. They need to win this year, especially the way they're playing at a top level and with the pieces they have all together. As far as the Mets, you Met fans should be very, very excited about this team. Why? Because right now we're going into 70 games into the season. We're almost halfway through the season, and the Mets are 45-26, 6-4 in their last 10 games, and they're the best team in the National League without their star pitchers and Max Scherzer, who's missed about 4 weeks, and Jacob deGrom, who's really missed the whole season. Both players are in line to coming back before the All-Star break. Max Scherzer could be by the end of the weekend, and Jacob deGrom could be back in 2 weeks. You finally, as Met fans, will get the opportunity to see this pitching staff on what Steve Cohen believed the power, the firepower he was going to have in this rotation with Jacob deGrom as your 1, Max Scherzer as your 2, Bassett as your 3, McGill as your 4, and Carrasco as your 5. And there are stories coming out right now with the Mets and the organization is that they're interested in Luis Castillo from the Reds. A lot of teams are, but right now the Reds could be looking to move on from Castillo, being that they're 23-46, and he is a big piece that they can get back a significant haul for.
The Reds might be desperate at this point, too. So maybe a team like the Mets could swoop in and get him for maybe less than expected, too, because there were rumors the Reds were going to trade him last year, too, when they were trading everybody else. And during the offseason, after the lockout, they were purging assets. So at this point, Mets might not have to trade him for as much. Now, is that the target I would want? We'll see based on the injuries. I think it's not something with Scherzer coming back right now and deGrom coming back probably in a couple weeks that I would be rushed to do. But if there are other injuries, too, we've seen McGill get hurt certain points. We've seen Carrasco have injury issues in the past, too. So definitely something to keep your eye on. Maybe as an option for that later. We saw the Mets do that 3 years ago with their other pitchers still intact, trading for Stroman once Syndergaard got hurt. Kind of an overreaction thing. Now, is this regime different? We'll see. But it's something that I still think the Mets should favor a bullpen move first or a versatile type guy, maybe a couple of versatile type guys to help the depth rather than go for the star power.
As far as their team and their roster, Pete Alonso right now, you could say he's either the MVP or the runner-up for the MVP in the National League. Paul Goldschmidt is having a sensation.
Yeah, I'd probably slightly favor Goldschmidt.
He's been unbelievable, and if you look at his numbers, they're just absolutely stand out. Now, Pete Alonso's numbers stand out too. 20 home runs, 66 RBIs, 29 base on balls, 63 strikeouts, 279 batting average, 357 on-base percentage, slugging percentage 546. His numbers are fantastic, and Pete Alonso has definitely been the best player offensively for the New York Mets. And Francisco Lindor, who's playing better, he has a 247 batting average, he has 12 home runs, Definitely better than he was last year, and 56 RBIs, which is absolutely amazing. Amongst the top 5 leaders in all of the MLB in RBIs. It's crazy to say that as a shortstop. So they're playing great baseball right now, and they're getting great offense from so many players. Even Sterling Marte's having a career season. He has 36 RBIs and 7 home runs, 8 stolen bases. He's not going to have 100 stolen bases like he had last year, but he's also fighting injury. I expect him to have 30 or 40 stolen bases. So this team, Speedy, has been unbelievable.
Lindor, like you were saying, 4th in RBIs in the major leagues right now. Alonso leads the league in RBIs. I would still favor Goldschmidt right now for the MVP just because of a 340 batting average. He leads the National League 2nd in baseball in OPS right now. So I probably would slightly favor Goldschmidt, but Alonso's more home runs, more RBIs. He's definitely not far behind. And you see the leadership he brings to that infield, to that team, and to that lineup. And Marte, we'll see on the stolen bases, just playing it out with the injuries throughout the year. Buck Showalter's not normally the guy that really encourages it that much, even when he was with the Orioles, with the Rangers in the past. So we'll see if he gets to 30, but his defense has still been good. Canna's been good. Eduardo Escobar's been kind of up and down, but still better. Really, the only spot that they have been lacking is the catching position with them. They might get James McCann back soon as well, and they have Francisco Alvarez waiting in the wings in the second half of the season, potentially be called up.
Brandon Nimmo has had a pretty good season offensively. He hasn't been hitting the ball the last couple of weeks, but he has been an unbelievable shutdown defender at the center field position. To me, he's the Gold Glove winner right now in all of baseball at the center field position. He's been sensational. And Jeff McNeil, I don't know what happened to him last year, but he leads the team at 327. He's amongst the league's top 5 batting averages. So he's been sensational too. So if you're a Met fan, everything stands out to this team and what this team is all about, and that's winning. So Steve Cohen, who looks like he'll open up his pockets at the trade deadline, I expect him to add a pitcher, maybe some bullpen help, and maybe an offensive player they can do with another offensive player in that lineup. I think they've been sensational, Speedy. If you're a Met fan, you can't say anything bad about this team, but you expect them to even be better when Jacob deGrom and Max Scherzer comes back into that rotation.
Yeah, and they're going to be able to just play it out and ease guys back, too. They don't have to rush deGrom. Scherzer's going to come back next week, but they can play the injuries a lot better than they've done before. McNeil just went out on Monday, but they don't have to rush these guys back because they have so much depth. It's weird to say that as a Mets fan. It is insane how well they've been able to manage the injuries, manage this team very, very well. The bullpen is the only thing that isn't super deep, but even that's getting better as the season's gone along.
As far as this Manny Ramirez situation, I've been saying this for a long time. On this show, the Sports Loudmouths, my other shows, Below the Mic and Down to the Wire, I have spoken so much about Derek Jeter and what he was as a player throughout his career with the New York Yankees. And I am a Yankee fan. I am not a hater to any of the Yankees. I never thought Derek Jeter was one of the greatest shortstops of all time. Now, his numbers would show that he was. He also played for some of the greatest teams the Yankees have ever had. Some of the best lineups and more depth of lineups that the Yankees have had over the 100 years they've been existing. Derek Jeter has always been said to be overrated at his position. And Manny Ramirez came out recently. He was interviewed by numerous amount of papers and magazines, and they asked him about Derek Jeter, and he came out and said Derek Jeter would have just been an ordinary, regular player if he wasn't playing for the Yankees. And I believe that to be true. If he went to Kansas City, Texas, or even the Rays at the time, the Rays weren't good. Derek Jeter might have not had over 3,000 hits. Derek Jeter might have not been the face of baseball as long as he was. Derek Jeter might not be one of the richest baseball players of our era if he didn't play for the Yankees with the endorsements that he got. So is Manny right about what he said about Derek Jeter as far as if he didn't play for the Yankees, if he did or he didn't? I think Manny Ramirez is absolutely right. But I could say the same about Manny Ramirez. Manny Ramirez, if he wasn't a Boston Red Sox or if he wasn't doing steroids, Manny Ramirez wouldn't have been Manny Ramirez. How's that sound, Manny? David Ortiz, who came from the Twins, would have never been David Ortiz if he didn't go to the Red Sox. So for ex-Red Sox to come out and attack Derek Jeter, I don't disagree with them because I think Derek Jeter is one of the more overrated Yankees of all time. Some people put Derek Jeter amongst the Yankees' bests. Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, Joe DiMaggio, Mickey Mantle, Yogi Berra, or other players we can name over the past that I believe were better than him. The fact is, he wasn't even the best player of his era on the Yankees. Mariano Rivera was. The fact is, he did break the hit record for shortstops. He was one of the greatest shortstops of all time. So to bring up Derek Jeter and what he shouldn't have been, because if he was a Yankee or not a Yankee, nobody cares. But I've been saying that for years, that Derek Jeter is one of the more overrated players of our era.